Hello and welcome to the second podcast, Bros and Boxers. I'm your host, Michael.
And I'm Casey. Nice to see you. Good
I
day.
see you again, Casey. Thanks for coming back.
Well, not actually see because we are properly social distancing.
Properly distanced, thanks to the lovely pandemic that has graced this year.
Oh, yes. What a lovely year it has been.
Indeed. But you know what? Not all bad news this year, as Mandalorian Season 2 has come out. I don't know about you, Casey, but I got to talk about that episode from last week.
Oh, definitely.
I mean, that blew my mind. I'm just going to warn people right now. Spoilers for, I believe it's chapter 13
Yeah,
of
for
Mandalorian.
the latest episode as of 2020 in December. On the, anywhere between December 1st and let's go December 10th. If you're listening in that time period of 2020, just stop right here.
If you're not caught up, just skip it.
And we'll
there's
tell
a new
you
episode
when to
tomorrow,
jump
though, I
back in.
think. But so we're going to get some more information. But I got to say, that last episode blew my mind. You know, I've enjoyed every episode of The Mandalorian for the most part so far. But when they just started off right away with Ahsoka, and you just see those white lightsabers, and she's doing the the almost like a scary movie kind of thing. You know, like she's in the dark, just igniting the lightsabers to get the kill, and then going silent again. That was so cool. And then every other part of the episode. I mean, the parallel right there when you had Ahsoka battling the what was the woman? She was like a judge or something.
The magistrate. So
magistrate.
They call like governors magistrates sometimes because it sounds better than governor.
Oh, well. Anyway, the magistrate. You had her battling the magistrate, and then you had the Mandalorian battling like the the hired guard, basically. And
I wouldn't say it was a battle. It was more like a
well, you know what I mean. The stand
squaring off, yeah. Just like
he was doing like the Western
thing.
Shooter. Yeah, and then on the other side, you had like the samurai fight almost. And I just thought that was really cool that they were
now let
back and forth.
Let me take this to you.
Take
Somebody. All right, so there's a YouTube channel, going back to me referencing other media. There's a YouTube channel called CinemaSins.
Mm-hmm.
And they branched off. They've got music video sins, they've got TV sins, and that's what I'm going to talk about. In TV sins, they pointed this out, and I think it was episode 1, season 1. Maybe it was one of the episodes in season 2, but Mandalorian, when he walks, has the clanging of spurs. What? He's not a cowboy. He's got no spurs. Why is he clanging?
They put the spurs in.
That's it. They put spurs sounds in. I have now ruined all of season 1 and 2. You cannot unhear this.
That is so weird. Where that decision? I mean, it is a Western. If you really think about it, you know, you have that like episodic.
I completely understand.
But it's strange. It's like, what if when he started the ship, it just you hear a horse?
Yeah. No.
You hear galloping when he engages the warp speed or the light drive or whatever. Oh man. But you know what? Despite any sins he may have found with the show, I was very impressed with that last episode. And you know what I realized after watching that episode? Because right away I went to the discussion boards and I'm reading about, I watched all of Clone Wars, the animated series.
I did not see all of it, but I did see a few episodes.
Yeah, I'm talking about the 3D animated one that
let's clarify that because I always bring that up to you.
Yeah.
There are 2 of them, and I believe that Genndy Tartakovsky's one from, early 2000s, late 90s?
Right.
Same guy that did Samurai Jack, which, another fantastic property. It actually bridges episode 1, Phantom Menace, and episode 2, maybe 3. So the Clone Wars takes place, and he just did a bunch of shorts for that, and that one I feel is better.
And that's what Filoni's series does too. It's the same thing, bridges 2 to 3. And they finished it recently with season 7. I watched all of that. It definitely starts off when you're watching the first season, you think this was meant for kids, but then it gets pretty adult, and I really enjoyed it. What I haven't watched is Rebels, and I need to. But I've heard it's geared more toward children, so I want to just watch the episodes that are relevant to the canon. But circling back to my original point, Ahsoka says, "Where's Grand Admiral Thrawn?" And I'm like, "Thrawn? I don't know who this is." But I was fully expecting her to say, "Where is Moff Gideon?" So then I'm on the Wikipedia, which is like the fan Wikipedia for all things Star Wars.
If you just search it right now, that just type in Grand, it's like the next thing that pops up.
Because everybody's like, "Wait, who is this?" But when you go on Wikipedia, you just spend hours on there. you look up Grand Admiral Thrawn and you're like, wait a minute, he's from what planet? You click on this planet and you're like, wait a minute, that's from what? And it's so easy to get in this rabbit hole of like Jedi and Star Wars lore. And I think that's one of the cool things about the Star Wars universe is you have this devoted fan base that has just fleshed out all, they've picked up every little bit of information from all the movies that they can put into the canon. And
Right.
just like they give you all that. And of course, we know Disney expelled a bunch of the extended universe. But they still have that on Wikipedia. They just label it as Legends right now. The cool thing is that Filoni is kind of retroactively going back and saying, no, we're taking this out of the expelled EU and putting this back into canon.
Well, like, why Disney let him go and do that?
Well, I think Disney's kind of seeing like, oh, we made a wrong judgment call. I think Disney may have had the intention of bringing some of it back always, but I think that after this, the controversial reception of the sequel trilogy, they're kind of like, maybe we didn't go about this the right way, because they were definitely like trying to play it safe while also do something new. It seemed like so they didn't really have
but
footing. I don't know, but with the Mandalorian, they kind of just say, okay, let's let Filoni and Jon Favreau do their thing. He's known for being a like a Star Wars nerd.
Well, and Favreau's got himself a good situation with the Marvel movies. They're like,
Right.
oh yeah,
Favreau has demonstrated that he can stitch together a large universe, and you have Filoni with this wealth of knowledge. So you put these two guys together, and they've got this amazing like conglomeration of all things Star Wars. And next thing you know, you're like involved. You're like you start to care about these things. You're like, wait a minute, that's the type of droid that only has showed up in season 4 of the Clone, like that kind of thing that like, you're like, am I this big of a Star Wars fan? So I think that's really cool that Filoni's kind of honoring the diehard fans, and he's bringing people back to like, being really interested in Star Wars. I liked the sequels. I'll say that right now. I didn't have a problem with them. I thought episode 8 was a little bit lackluster, but I didn't dislike
those sequels. I thought you were talking about the prequels. I'm sorry.
Oh no.
Okay,
I love
sequel
the
comes
prequels.
after, yeah.
You got me wrong if you think I don't love
Really?
the prequels. Oh, I grew up with them.
I mean, I love the original trilogy. Without the sand scene.
I could probably go without Jar Jar sometimes.
And Jar Jar. but I gotta say, like,
Jar Jar. For me, episode 3 is my favorite Star Wars. I love it.
Really?
I love the flashy lightsaber battles. I'll confess right now, guilty pleasure. But I also just love, it's such a tragedy to see the downfall of Anakin. Like the beginning of episode 3 shows Anakin and Obi-Wan being, brothers. Like they're flying around. They're in the middle of the heat. But at the same time, they're
death sticks.
No, that's episode 2. But at the same time, they're riffing back and forth, and you still see. I think that's where they have the elevator scene where he says he's proud of him or whatever. And then they had the part where they separate from each other before Anakin turns, and he says something to him, something heartfelt, and then you see that downfall. You see Anakin take that turn to become Vader, and to me that's like a really striking. And then, of course, I love the Mustafar battle, and I love making fun of Mustafar. It with the Jimmy Fallon video that we found.
Is that barbecue sauce?
We've got barbecue sauce. If you haven't seen it, you got to look up the Jimmy Fallon episode 3 skit. It's great stuff. But anyway, like I said, my point overall is that it's cool to see this Star Wars kind of returning and kind of stitching everything together. You've got callbacks to the original trilogy, callbacks to the prequel, things that are referenced in the sequels, and I feel like Filoni's really just trying to say like, hey, we care about the fans, and we're going to make things the way they are, like make people happy about Star Wars again, because there's been a lot of controversy.
I definitely feel like it's resurging, but at the same time, Star Wars Land is coming out. We've got a park here in our home state, and I want to go. I want to see it. If
I know
they ever let Max pop back into parks,
you can like build your own lightsaber and the such,
and the bands track you through the park. So you go and like blow up the Death Star, and then the imps walking around are gonna be like, "Oh, I see you've decided to show up in my port. Keep on your best behavior, or I'll lock you away." It's like,
that's great.
What? Or like the stormtroopers will walk by and be like, "You over there, hold up."
Do you think that
routine inspection?
Do you think the folks that are hired to be stormtroopers love the job, or they're just
absolutely, absolutely? No other theme park can you go and walk around in complete disguise. Nobody recognizes you because you're a stormtrooper. And you get to just harass people and just kind of jokingly, lovingly, just kind of be like, "Yo, hold up. Is that droid registered? Were you near the moon of Endor on Stardate, whatever?
I
I don't know
wonder if
how Star Wars dates things,
during
but
the application process they give them some sort of quiz. All right, we need to see your knowledge of Star Wars because you're going to
what's
be
your
ripping.
Star Wars knowledge?
Take this pop quiz. It's like the quiz you take to get citizenship in the U.S. The quiz to become an Imperial Stormtrooper.
Oh my goodness!
Can you hit your target? No. Good to
No.
go.
Well, what is that? Is that? And I don't want to turn this into nothing but a Star Wars fan cast, but is it that their guns are bad or that they're bad? My theory always has been, ever since the clones died off, Order 66, they're already starting to get old. They're years into this really long war where both sides just have disposable armies, just like, yeah, fuck it.
Yeah, I think that it's a combination of things. I think that you're right. Like when the clones are gone, that it's supposed to be okay. These are people who didn't have
Regular
the same
Joe.
upbringing as a clone, but at the same time, remember, I think it was the season finale of Mandalorian season 1 where the troopers are talking about how their guns, like he goes to shoot, they're both trying to shoot a
I don't
can
know
or
if they're
something.
saying that it's bad. They're just actually like shooting. It's just like they
But they're
cannot hit it.
They're like hitting it. Doesn't somebody say something about it being jammed or something? I don't know. But they
I don't
imply
remember
that the
that.
weapons are not very good because the can's like 4 feet from them.
It is. It's ridiculous, and they're using a little blaster pistol. And it's just like hitting everywhere but on target. And I can attest, small caliber gun shooting at 5 yards plus. I can't hit what I'm aiming for.
I think that this is a perfect time for me to check and see what mail we got from last week.
Oh, have we gotten any?
Let me go check right here. And that is 0 mail. So,
okay, yeah.
guys, we need the mail. All right, send us your hate mail. Okay.
Well, how about this? Since we're asking for mail, I will do a correction here. Since I accidentally put this in the first one, it is not. I think I said like Screen Break. It's Story Break. That's the name of the podcast.
This has been eating Casey up.
About.
He said this maybe 5 or 6 times to me. I gotta correct myself.
I gotta tell him the correct one. It's Story Break. It's got Will. It's got Freddie Wong. It's got all the guys from Dungeons and Dads. And so, yeah, I'm sorry, guys.
Casey, I believe you had something you wanted to talk about regarding what was you sent me some article about.
I sent you a couple of things. So yeah, the thing that triggered me on that was a video by The Verge. And what they're looking at is why these companies like Google, Facebook, Amazon are getting pulled into the Senate for these hearings. And
you mentioned these hearings last time, I remember.
I did. And so by going into it, this guy named Ben Thompson has the best theory for why this is happening. Before the internet, what you wound up having was these middlemen that would gather up all of the supply. Okay, there's always supply and demand. That's how commerce works. What the middlemen would do, we can think of it as taxis, as they do in the Verge video. There is a dispatcher. They have access to a fleet of cars that they can call at any time and have pick you up. There's multiples of these, and so what they do is they control the supply so the demand comes to you. The customers come to the middlemen, order the car comes to them. That's how everything worked before the internet. The internet comes in and it puts all that supply into one place and starts funneling the customers into that. So what it winds up doing is instead of it being that the middlemen are controlling that supply, it's now the internet is controlling the customer and aggregating those customers together into one easy-to-use platform. And then they're able to get all these deals, they're able to get a better experience basically at the end of it.
So it sounds like the middleman basically gets cut out.
Right. And so the big thing that our government here in the U.S. is trying to do is trying to make sure that the market's free and that one kingpin's not up there ruling the roost with whatever they want. But the aggregation theory is saying, this is where the internet's leading to. It is designed to get us to a point where everything is owned by one.
Right, right now we see, what's the first thing that comes to mind when you say something like that is Amazon. I mean,
Exactly.
think of one thing you can't get off Amazon. I cannot tell you the last time I was like, oh, I really need, X or Y obscure item and it wasn't on Amazon. If not being sold by Amazon, then being sold by, somebody else who, works for Amazon or, works as a partner for Amazon.
Right. And then so that what that winds up doing is it shifts your business model from competing with these other companies to now working within this one sales platform. And you're going in here and you're changing the way your entire ethos is just to make a dollar. And who's to say that tomorrow the person who manages the whole platform says, you know what? I don't like candles being sold on my website.
But then here's the thing, what you talk about here is adding more regulation to the internet, and it's a dangerous road to go down, don't you think? I mean, I do
I
agree
definitely
that,
want net neutrality. I don't think that the government should have anything to do with saying what you can and can't put on the internet.
and I do agree that there are shady business practices out there. I think that, but I can imagine if you were a small mom and pop, trying to sell something, that you're going to feel pressure, probably even just from your customers saying, "Oh, couldn't you sell us on Amazon? I have my Amazon account. I have my shipping information in there." And I think, that's going to put pressure on you to do that. And then on the other hand, maybe some of these small mom and pop places wouldn't make the same profits if they didn't sell on Amazon. So it's really hard for me to make a judgment one way or another on what should or shouldn't be regulated. And then of course the blanket statement of, do we even want to introduce any regulation on the internet? That you see the same thing coming up with Congress talking about banning encryption. They want to ban end-to-end encryption, and
What?
I guess banning is the wrong word to use, but they want it to be that any encrypted connection, that there's a backdoor that the government can get into.
Okay, and then here comes Anonymous with somebody that actually works for the government.
Right. Well, no. Here come the fact of the matter is, if you program a backdoor into any system, somebody will find it who isn't supposed to, and so I do not think about this. If you say, okay, you have to, your encrypted connection has to have a backdoor in it. Do you really think somebody who's distributing these, illegal items already is going to be like, I better update my connection to be using this so I'm compliant with? No, I mean, there's no way. So all you're going to do is you're going to make people who are already not criminals,
Right.
already following the law, you're going to make them vulnerable.
Well, and here's another analogy to go with that scenario. Give a key to the government for your house, and they can just walk in whenever they feel like it if they suspect that you've got some sort of thing in your house.
It's the important distinction in making your metaphors. It's saying, let's give a key to the government for every single house.
Every home.
What I mean? Not
every
just
home and business.
Not just homes that are doing these illegal activities. No. Every single home, and also it's up to you to make sure that the government has that key. You know what I mean? Like it's just foolish.
You'll be punished if you don't.
And it's not even. I wouldn't even say you'll be punished if you don't. I would say that it's up to you, and if the government discovers it, you'll be punished. But it's going to be hard for them to discover it because there's millions of homes.
So, just kind of summarizing here is that the aggregation theory from the video that I watched is they are, instead of putting together the supply there, they are creating the demand by gathering these people in one place, and it really kind of gives a foothold, because of the way the internet is, to the first person. To the victor go the spoils, and the first person usually on the internet who comes up with something, they dominate. Case in point, you said big shopping giant. Anybody thinks of, what am I going to buy for Christmas? Oh, Amazon it. Let me think. Who was that guy that was really into peanuts and created the cotton gin? I can't think of his name. Oh, let me go Google it.
Right. Not let me go DuckDuckGo it.
Yeah, not let me go Yahoo it. Let me go Bing it.
Let me go Bing it real quick.
I need a ride down to the store and my car's busted. What am I going to do?
It's not like Google tried
Call
to
a taxi.
make the term for searching something on the internet their own brand name. It's just fortunate for them that it worked out that way. And then I think, it's kind of like when somebody gives themselves a nickname, like, oh yeah, call me Big John. It's like, nah, I'm not going to call you Big John.
Yeah, but you're like 98 pounds soaking wet. Why would I call you Big John?
You have to earn a nickname. And I think, Google did earn the nickname. It reminds me of, Quibi. They're the streaming platform
defunct.
that had already gone out of business. They were trying to make their name synonymous with something that's only like 10 minutes
quick.
long. Oh,
Yeah.
I have a Quibi. I have a Quibi for that real quick. I don't even know how to use it properly, but
No,
you
nobody does
you can't
because it's
force it like
gone.
that. While we're talking about subject of technology, I just wanted to
Oh,
talk about a video I saw the other day. It was a little clip
hit
from
me.
the Cyber Investing Summit. It
Okay.
was a clip from Kevin Mitnick, who he's a well-known hacker who, I actually don't remember what he went to prison for, but he was sent to prison at some point, and he was known for the fact that they wouldn't let him near any phones. He was so good at social engineering that they were worried that he would place a couple calls and basically get out of prison somehow.
Oh wait,
So
no, I think I remember that. What was that? Like the 90s or like early 2000s?
I
They
think you're
wouldn't let
right.
him near
Yeah,
any technology. I remember vaguely, not like the specific story, but
yeah.
just, oh, did you hear about that guy? He
The
got
guy
locked
who
up and they won't let him near a computer
he's
or a
like
phone because he'll get out.
he just like touches a phone and just he
And just
digitizes into it and he's gone.
the
No,
door opens up the second he just gets a cell phone and dials a quick code, and then all of a sudden the doors open up and he's free.
but anyway,
It,
I was watching his speech that he was giving, and he was basically talking about he was hired by one of the three big credit bureaus to they wanted to see if he could hack into their system. They wanted to see basically if he could get past their data center security. So what he
right.
does is really clever. He speaks to the leasing office at the data center and pretends like he's a prospective client, and he ends up working with the leasing officer there and pretending like I said, like his prospective client, and he clones her card. Basically, he clones her access card. He's just talking to her, and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna need keys for my guys," and she's like, "Oh, we use access cards," and he has in his portfolio a card cloner, and then he talks about
Oh,
how
okay.
these card cloners. Basically, what he did from there is he went into the restroom and he cloned a technician's card, and he was able to clone it like 3 feet away or something. So he talks about how people think
What?
that these HUD access cards are so secure, but they're really not. I mean, if you're not paying attention to who's around you, especially, I mean, I don't know about you, but if I go to the bathroom, I'm not thinking who's in here stealing my card.
Well,
So
another one of those YouTube channels, the guy goes and finds interesting tech, and he's actually taken an iPhone and added the headphone jack back in, customized everything to
oh
get it to
jeez,
work.
that's
Because the
awesome.
hardware is still there, it's just that they removed the port. Like,
What I found really interesting though, after
but
watching this video, is I Googled. He talks about one of the devices he uses to clone cards, and I Google it, and you can just buy it off Amazon. It's like $60,
wow.
and it takes a little bit of setup, but it's crazy to me how easy it is. You get into these security bubbles. You think like, oh, I have this access card, I'm safe. Like no one's gonna get in. They don't have a key. But if somebody wanted to, they'd find a way in. It's just like
Oh yeah.
you lock your door at night, but if somebody wants to get into your house, they'll break a window. They will get in. So
Well,
it's
unless your house is on stilts.
true. Some people, it
Some
might be
people
a
who
little bit
live in
more
the
difficult.
air. But what I was getting at was he goes to China and he's got a store in there, kind of like what Amazon Go did in New York, where everything's RFID chip tagged. And so all you do is walk through the door and it bills you with your
Really,
product. Yeah.
I thought that Amazon was talking about doing something like that with their Whole Food stores.
They were talking about it, and the test pilot is Amazon Go stores, which I think New York is the only one I know of that has one. They're using a lot more technology. They're using cameras and algorithms and all that fun stuff to figure it out. But this store is just very low tech. It's got a little RFID chip in it. You walk through the metal detector things like at Walmart, and name dropping everything here. Um, and then you're charged outside the little shop there.
That's awesome.
And so with that, I totally learned about how they work, and it's just this tiny little chip. It doesn't even have any sort of security on it. It just emits what kind of data it's got. It says, "Hey, I am this," and then the backend handles everything else from there. Do you have access with that data set? Yes or no? And that's easily clonable and, in this case, hackable.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy to think. I was reading some of the reviews on Amazon, and people were talking about like use cases for it. And I guess circling back to Star Wars, I guess the Star Wars theme park in Disney, they use an RFID chip to program the lightsabers, so you can actually clone the lightsabers and program program them yourselves, basically.
Oh, wow. That's
So
awesome.
people will basically, get a library of these, and then you can just reprogram your lightsaber yourself and have whatever
Whenever
you
you
want.
want.
Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful. Well, the thing I always wanted after watching that video, I think it was like a few years ago I watched it, was I wanted at my job, we had those same little badges. You badge in to get in the door, you badge out. And I always wanted that on my cell phone. I always do this. I'll put my key fob in my house, leave it there locked, and now I'm locked out of the building and have to get the temporary one.
Yeah,
So
that would be so cool if you could just program your phone to it. There's got to be a way. I mean, you
there
clone the
has to
card,
be.
right? And then you tell your cell phone, hey, emit this signal. So I think you'd have to, depending on, it'd be easier to do on an Android probably, but I think basically
Yeah,
you just
right?
have to have some service that's going to emit that signal. There's probably already an app for it.
Well, it should just be NFC, near field communication, right?
Right, but you have to have some, some way to, you have to store the credentials, that what
Right.
it's going to emit, and then you have to have some way to serve that to the controller, to the RFID,
I
whatever
just
it's actually.
remembered. I purchased a long time ago a messenger bag, and it was supposed to have an NFID chip in it. It was to go along with the Watch Dogs video game, all about hacking, albeit movie hacking, not
Yeah.
not like the legitimate hacking. That beyond that, the bag had the NFC chip on it, and I've always thought of oh, that'd be cool to have a chip. Just hold it up to your door, get you in your house, or you put a cargo container in the middle of nowhere, and it has like your little secret hideout. That's going back to the video game. Anyways, I digress.
It just has it has like marshmallows or something like really
Yeah, it's just
really
got.
dumb in there.
I'd never really have it decked out the way they do in the first Watch Dogs game, but it's always been like oh man, I wish I had one of those, like a little safe house under a overpass or something like that. That for some reason gets unnoticed by the city for years. Just hey, what's this thing that's like hooked into the grid and drawing a lot of power
Should
and
we
it's
look
got
into this? This
internet
has
and
plumbing
stuff?
in it. No, just leave
No,
it.
no. Don't play with that. I think we're right up against it, so we're probably getting right up there. And so I don't remember what I said last time. So this time I'm just gonna say thank you again for tuning in to us, guys and gals. Go out there and leave reviews. Give us a thumbs up if you're on the correct platform. Subscribe. Ding the bell if you're feeling like it. I don't even
Slam
know if
that
we
like
have a
button.
bell.
I'll say too that we didn't get any mail, hate mail
No
or
mail.
regular.
We need
So
some sort of mail.
send us your mail. We're looking for emails over at the boys at brosinboxers.com. Again, that is the boys at brosinboxers.com. Send us your suggestions, articles you want us to talk about, your hate mail. If you just want to say, "Wow,
Or love mail.
this is the worst podcast I've ever tuned into," we'll just
Absolutely
respond with
garbage.
completely agree. Don't know why you're listening.
See if you like the direction. I think we changed it up a little bit since the first episode, and we're starting to get some sort of stride going.
Yeah, we actually are trying to find direction, whereas in the first episode it was shooting from the hip.
Oh, we were Stormtrooper in it. Going back to the beginning there. We were Stormtrooper in it on the first one.